Well, as farmers are harvesting this year's crop, we're finding more choices when it comes to produce, but the produce only lasts so long.
Don't you wish you could keep the farm fresh food throughout the fall and winter? Well, you can, if you can.
And as I found out while visiting a canning trio in Sussex County, the process of preserving food can also create a bond that goes beyond the kitchen.
My pantry is pretty extensive. We've got a strawberry jalapeno, strawberry rhubarb, a peach pie jam, a regular peach jam, blueberry jam. We've got a blueberry peach jam, a strawberry peach jam, which is fabulous. We did some Grand Marnier cherry jam.
Billy Criswell of Frankfort is definitely stocked and ready should she face an emergency. That's because of this little canning club made up of Billy, her mother Joel, and her mother-in-law Chris, a club that started quite by chance.
I started canning 3 summers ago when my mother-in-law called me and wanted a hand canning, I believe it was strawberries, and strawberry jam. And I just kind of came because I really just didn't have anything to do that day, and I just fell in love. And it was really from there that we kind of started canning, and we canned that summer together. And then the following summer, my mom said, hey, I want to come can with you guys too. And that was last summer. We kind of just exploded in our canning habit.
And that habit, Billy says, has changed her life.
Learning to preserve my own food, it gives me a sense of empowerment, and it gives me a good sense of what I'm eating and really how few ingredients really need to go into the things that we're eating, which is really, a great lesson in, clean eating, I guess.
Billy admits that, like many 20-somethings, she didn't put much thought into what she put in her mouth. But that changed when a decision to quit her job to become a writer meant living on a tighter budget.
So when I started trying to save money, I was doing like the couponing and stuff like that, but the things that you buy on coupons are never good. They're highly processed. And so when I started canning, it was kind of a way to have higher quality foods.
The group gets their produce from a local farmer.
Instead of buying, produce, which most people are familiar with, going to a farm stand and buying produce, we actually get our produce as seconds, which is basically whatever they would toss out for whatever reason. It's not always defective. It can be that it was the wrong size, or that it has a little small bruise on it, or that it's a piece of corn that's browned a little bit on the outside, but it's perfect on the inside.
And what makes it fun, albeit challenging, they don't always know what they're going to get.
We do what we call the art of roulette canning. We could have anything from a bag of beets to a box of nectarines, or a box of cherries, or a variety of tomatoes, or corn, or sometimes we even get some one-off items like plums we had last year a lot of.
This time of year is prime for cherries and tomatoes, so they're canning spiced cherry jam and Eastern Shore Bloody Mary mix, something I got to help with.
Some Old Bay, which I like to add to everything. This is makes a really good Bloody Mary mix.
As you can imagine, all this canning not only produces hundreds of jars of food, it requires hundreds of hours in the kitchen together.
And this is where we come into our teamwork.
Something else Billy says is life-changing for her.
I don't know if other people spend as much time with their families as I do, but I think it's been really great to learn not only about the women in my family, but also about women in general. It's a great experience to be able to be in that close proximity and have that kind of close relationship. You get such a great thing going in the kitchen.
In fact, the trio call themselves We Three Canners.
We Three Canners, we kind of, after last year we had been canning a lot together, and we said, we need a name because we're like a club, So we tossed around a couple of different names, and this one just stuck.
During my time as honorary 4th canner, I found it really isn't that difficult and doesn't have to be time-consuming.
It's a little bit easier than most people would think.
Billy says the biggest mistake people make when starting out is being a little too over-ambitious.
So I would say start simple and start small and work your way up.
You also need to do a little research on safety. Different foods require different processing times.
And these get processed for 15 minutes, not 10. There's definitely a safety concern. We spend a lot of time debating about, processing times and, how much cooking needs to go on beforehand. There's some things you definitely want to follow through on, which is, your safe canning times and getting things to a certain temperature, because you definitely don't want to eat, spoiled canned goods. Nothing will ruin your day faster than that.
And don't forget to have fun.
Oh my God!
It goes beyond cooking, and you solve problems like what do you do with 100 pounds of beets, or you solve problems like what do you do when you're hitting a rough patch in your life. These are the people who are here to support you, and I've learned a lot about food, but I've learned more about the nature of how important it is for women to have bonds with each other that go beyond whatever physical activity you're doing.
That bond is one that we three canners hope to preserve for a lifetime.
And Billy sent me home with a jar of the spiced cherry jam that we canned that day. It's gone. Since we shot that segment, I've done a little canning of my own. My mother and I made about 9 quarts of spaghetti sauce this past weekend. My daughter and I canned some salsa.
Oh, wow.
It's a whole lot of fun. I highly recommend it.
How about that? Well, still ahead, many people are going gluten-free these days for better health, but will it really make a difference? The truth about going gluten-free.
And maybe you want to take it a step further and go vegan. We'll also learn more about this lifestyle and get a recipe to go along with it.
And while we're talking food, Dr. Oz says it's important to know the good from the bad.
You've heard don't eat fat, don't eat carbs. We're a nation of extremes, eliminating food groups altogether, which is unhealthy. You need to know the good from the bad. Take carbs. The simple ones, found in white bread and donuts, are low in nutrients and high in calories. So you want to always eat complex carbs, whole grains and vegetables packed with fiber. Carbs should comprise less than 50% of your diet, since they increase NPY, a brain chemical that decreases metabolism and increases appetite. Fats? Well, the monounsaturated ones are found in olive oil, nuts, and fish, and they reduce blood pressure and lipid levels, and they keep you looking younger. Trans fats found in foods with a long shelf life, like cookies and margarines, are always bad. They clog your arteries and they stunt weight loss. Make the right choices.